that is really neat. Some real cool concepts, and one thing I really like about where we're gonna, you guys actually are getting a 2-for-1. The word I brought Sunday night was actually meant for today. So what today is a building on the word Sunday night, and I'm gonna, I want to break this up into kind of quarters, if we will, and I'll do a little bit of a recap. Everybody was here Sunday night, correct? You were not here, right? You were here. You weren't here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna go backwards. I want to ask you to grab that disc, because the concepts that we're going to talk today are building on the ones that we had Sunday night, and in particular for this group. And last night I brought 2/3 of what I'm going to speak about today to the worship culture, and then I'm going to deviate off it a little bit. If we don't get these concepts, and I mean truths, and where I came from, I rarely do this, but most generally, and you've all heard me say this probably too many times now, the way I kind of approach my progression in doctrine is I go from concept to working theory to little o opinion to big O opinion to doctrine or truth. And so I'm going to bring today truth, which and I'm bringing it actually as an elder of the house, and I normally don't pull rank like that either. But the concepts that we're going to go into are so important for this house in particular, and to our growth, and for your growth in particular, that if we leave any room, that the danger, there's a lot more danger to understate it than it is to overstate the importance of the word. And short recap, just for the fresh in all our memories, is we came up with 3 concepts on Sunday. Concept number 1 is that God's heart is to promote all of us into leadership individually. And one of the things that I said to a brother last night is God is not afraid of our honesty, but He doesn't respond to our dishonesty. So we can say frequently that we know that God wants to promote us and wants us to be in leadership, but our actions and our body language betray deep-seated areas of either confusion or downright misunderstanding of what leadership is. And what I want to do is I want to encourage us not to be like Adam. When we see something, just hide from God. Let's go ahead and bring it right out in the open. And so with this leadership, I'm bringing it right out in the open, this leadership question. Second concept that we talked about Sunday night is God is actually the author and the owner of our promotion. That's a really important concept to get, because if we don't understand that, we actually think other people are involved. And really, they're not. Literally, they have almost nothing to do with it. Because concept, and if you don't understand that, you'll never get concept number 3. Truth number 3. Truth number 3 is that what God would promote, man is powerless to demote. Our employer does not have the authority to take away what God would promote. Our spouses, our relationships, our church leadership does not have the authority to demote. If God would promote us, and we covered all this Sunday night at length. It was an hour and 5 minutes, and I brought a lot of scriptures to back these things up, and I don't want to go back and do that today. So it's those kind of concepts. I think my notes are out of order here. So let me see if I can get them back in order. According to Brad, okay, it's got to be in this group here. There we go. So it's really those truths that I want to build on. And this particular group, what I said last night to worship culture was that if Sunday morning at 8 o'clock and a Sunday night our assembly is SEAL Team 10, we've all heard me kind of relate to the kind of special forces of Glad Tidings, or those are here. This particular group, the eldership, the staff, GT board, and worship culture is the cadre. Do you guys know what cadre is? You do. Cadre is the NCOs and officers that are involved in SEAL teams. They're the leadership. So if we can kind of view a kind of a representation of the leadership of this, you can't understate the importance of the leadership of this group. And I'm gonna bring this in quarters. So I'm gonna move through this because I got 3 specific things to bring to you, and then I want to leave this open for questions. As I said Sunday night, I'm in almost, I won't say almost complete, because the last 10% is the toughest 10%. But I've got a book that's pretty close to done. It's on leadership. I mentioned Sunday night that leadership's actually a real strong part of my heart. And I'll just give you some of the chapters of the book. Definition of leadership, chasing titles, attributes of a godly leader, operating under authority, hoarding titles. Notice chapter 2 is chasing titles. Chapter 6 is hoarding titles. Promotion belongs to the Lord. And the last one the title's a little bit goofy, and I might change it. It's dealing goat herders, and probably what I'll move to shepherds and goat herders. And I'll get into a little bit more of that at a later date. But I want to read the foreword to this book because it's going to set up the rest of where we're going to go when we talk about leadership and what God wants to do. So here's the foreword that I wrote for the book. Recently, I was in one of the Advance the Kingdom discussions with a senior pastor of a rapidly growing body of believers. We both expressed uncertainty when it comes to how to motivate veteran believers to understand and embrace the principal components of godly leadership and promotion. It became evident that both of us were confident in evangelizing the lost, or even bringing loving encouragement to the young in the Lord. However, when it came to shepherding a flock of believers who have lost hope of being promoted in God's kingdom, we're far less assured. The concept of promotion within the kingdom of God holds a key to unlocking exponential growth in the body of Christ. Having been in the organized church, first Methodist, then Assembly of God, then 3 different independent bodies over my 50 years, I believe the organized American church has a fundamental flaw in design that has greatly contributed to a stagnating bride. That flaw in leadership structure more closely resembles a worldly standard than one that is designed to building and promoting the leadership gifting God has placed in each of his children. So I want to tell you, from my standpoint, I'm not going to even entertain the concept that really anybody in this room or any believer is not a leader, because it's absolutely contrary to the Word of God. Many years ago, a senior pastor was marveling at what he perceived as a leadership gifting much stronger than that of his own. He made a comment that true leaders are born with the gift, not made, and clearly inferred that some were simply born not to lead. I've contemplated that concept over the last several years. I've concluded there is nothing further from God's truth than the saying, leaders being born, not made. In fact, biblical evidence and Jesus' very ministry strongly contradicts that message. The truth is this: godly leaders are born and made. Friend, this study guide is designed to introduce some and to reinforce to others the Father's heart when it comes to promotion and leadership. Let me say this with perfect clarity. This guide has as a fundamental premise that the Father's will is that all believers are to be promoted in leadership, that we are all co-heirs, fellow bondservants, each with an equal calling and 2 basic principles. First, the Father's deep desire for intimate relationship with us individually, and for us to be led by his Spirit and partnered with his only begotten Son, and we covered that at length on Sunday. Secondly, the Father considers us all equally. Secondly, the Father considers us all equally. Secondly, the Father considers us all equally the salt of the earth, cities on a hill, and the light of the world. In the second principle, God has a wonderful plan of promotion for each one of us individually. Our body language is to the contrary of that. If I was to ask this group or any group just in this body for us to all list the 5 top leadership giftings in this church, people with a leadership gifting in this church, I would be surprised if all of us didn't have maybe 3 of the same names on the list. Might be Pastor Scott, maybe Lisa, maybe Barry, maybe Jerry. You know, we confuse platform ministry with leadership. And this concept has to be wrecked for us to understand what our role is. Last night I brought up, and I could go on and on and on with people, but last night I brought up Pat Janiak. If I was going on my list, the first two names on my list would not be Scott Lowmaster or Lisa Lowmaster. It wouldn't be Dave King, and it wouldn't be Barry Cook. It would be Jacob, would be the first one on my list. Jacob is as strong a leader as we have in this house. And if we can't understand the concept, Sunday was comedy hour. This isn't comedy hour today. Okay, I'm gonna take a wrecking ball to concepts that believers have had in the church about what leadership and promotion is, and I want this particular group to make sure that we get this with perfect clarity and begin to operate in this. The second leader I brought up last night was a guy named Pat Janiak. How many people know Pat? We love the stereotype, right? Pat Janiak is a farmer from Spencer. Let's stereotype what a farmer from Spencer is just in New York State. We would equivalent a farmer from Spencer with a mindset a lot more to that of maybe we'd think of somebody in West Virginia Hills. Hick, you don't get to be a farmer if you don't have an independent streak in you. I don't want to work for anybody else. I don't want to work underneath anybody else. I don't trust authority. I want to be alone. He lives in Spencer on a hill. He does his own thing. So if we want to stereotype a guy like Pat, we would say, I would think that Pat would be a kind of person that one, hey, the music's too loud. Hey, quit speaking in tongues. We want to stereotype that. But you want to know who the first person on Sunday mornings is to be postured like this? That man walks in the door, goes to his spot right there, and in seconds is positioned like this. He easily goes to here. That's leadership, baby. That's leadership. And that leadership gifting is absolutely equal to that of really any leader in this house, anyone, and superior to that than a lot of it. It's not, I shouldn't say leadership gifting. That's expression of what God's leadership is grown past. Pat has known the Lord less than 10 years, right? He's a new believer. And he leads me to the throne room, and I've been in the church my entire life. I'm going to continue on with this forward because I'm moving fast because I want to get through a lot of stuff here. Like I said, I'm wrecking ball Dave today. To church leaders who even have the slightest concern of protecting their title or position, this guide may be a threat. It is with great love that I offer this challenge to all within the organizational leadership in our assemblies, of which I am one. I want to see leadership in all of Jesus' assemblies threatened when it comes to stagnating leadership. While there should be no pastors or elders or leaders who are threatened by this study, I know some will be. In fact, it is most likely that most of us in leadership need to have a serious gut check, and likely continuously. See, this concept of self-promotion and self-protection is embedded in our sin nature. With a heavy heart, I confess to you that in many years of leadership, I too have undermined those who I perceive threatened by my title and position. I've done this in my workplace, I've done it in my church, I've done it as a basketball and football coach. More recently than I'd like to admit, the Father's gentle hand of correction has revealed his truth. Promotion belongs to the Lord. Our role is to assist in the process. Man cannot demote what he would promote, and he, capital H, is against those who attempt it. You will learn in this study that the only ones who can demote us is us, albeit temporarily, and we covered that on Sunday. That being said, by creating an environment that discourages leadership growth, frequently taking form of no active plan to build leadership in every believer, many of our churches have greatly stagnated, leaving a large segment of the body of Christ inattentive to the Father's call on their lives. I love a quote recently in Fire and Fragrance by Sean Voigt. And while I'm taking a shot at church leadership in our country, I want to say that the responsibility, if you're following me very carefully, the responsibility lies with us individually. It does not reside to them. If we put our promotion on to Pastor Scott, we've missed it. We totally don't get promotion. Totally don't understand it. If we put our promotion on our employers, we totally don't get it. We totally don't understand promotion. We totally don't understand leadership. Sean Voigt, all that separates us from seeing his glory is a thin veil of unbelief, the weight of sin, and or our human earthly perspectives. So that human earthly perspective is what I'm going to wreck, what I'm going to take straight on. So that I'm going to leave time for questions at the end of this section. So that that's kind of the place I'm really want to focus in on. And I'm sorry I brought some of this last night, so my notes are a little bit. I thought I had these better in order. So let me reorganize here. That goes there. That goes there. That goes there. Defining leadership. Here we go. I mentioned in that the churches, the American church's leadership structure closely resembles the worldly structure. Let's talk about what the worldly corporate structure is. It is based on a corporate, generally corporate leader. And then it goes from there to a small body of senior leadership. Then it flows down to a little bit larger body of maybe some middle management. And then it has the rest of the workforce. And the rest of the workforce has little opportunity for promotion. The rest of the workforce is, the concept of the rest of the workforce is we're going to incentivize them as less as I can to keep them motivated to stay working with me, but I don't want to pay them too much. I don't want to, and what in that worldly leadership structure, middle management is not incentivized to promote people under them because they might take their job from them. Upper management is not incentivized to have a middle management take their job from them. They're not incentivized to train and lease because what might happen? Well, they might show me up. That's a worldly standard, and that's been adopted by our churches. Scott and I talked about this years ago. It literally is it really starts with a pope on down. Years of the pope's over. I'm not taking a stab at the Catholic Church. I'm saying that structure is not a godly structure. God's kingdom works exactly opposite of that. All believers are in leadership with a set of goals that is large and far-reaching, and there is no limit to the size of the organization. In corporate structure, there is a limit to the size of the organization. In fact, each corporate entity has self-imposed limits. They call them niche. You don't get as big and growth plan as Home Depot is. Home Depot stays in the Home Depot niche. They don't get out of their niche. Now it's a large niche, but believe you me, they don't get into they don't want it. You don't see Home Depot buying land, for instance, and renovating houses. It's still in housing starts, right? You don't see Home Depot buying rental properties and having it Home Depot apartments, even though they sell all kinds of lumber and rental equipment. They stay within their niche. That every corporate entity out there does that. You know what? Do you understand that our niche includes the entire world? That the believer's niche, and where is the ceiling? When in corporate America, if you have a single, who is our corporate leader in this body? I'm pretty happy you said that. I expected to hear a few Scots. Jesus said to Peter, "On you I will build my church." Jesus said to Peter, "Feed my flock. Feed my lambs." So really what I want to do is and I'm going to move into this the next segment, but I want to make sure that we all clearly get this, that in inside our own hearts, it isn't something that I want to tell you that you're not learning to become leaders. Let me rephrase that. You may be learning to become leaders, but this is an on-the-job training. We're not like a student in a college where I'm gonna be a student, so I'm gonna get trained, and then when I get done with my training, I'm gonna go get a job. You're working in your job. And I want to, I got a bunch of myths that, and I'm sorry I'm kind of moving through this. This is Wrecking Ball Dave today, because I'm gonna leave you guys with some concepts here, and then we're gonna open it up for some questions, and then I'm gonna be available, going forward. But here's a myth. Promotion leads to leadership. I need to have a title in order for me to lead. I need to be put in charge. I need to have a position in order to lead. I need somebody to say to this group that this person is that I'm in charge, so that then I can tell them what to do. That's an absolute myth. Here's the truth. Leadership leads to promotion. It's not promotion leads to leadership. And we see the actions of this all over the place. We see people who are given promotion before they've demonstrated leadership all over in our society. Teachers, coaches, police officers, parents, managers, church leadership. What happens when we get promoted before we demonstrate how to lead? Do you know the Bible's, by the way, a little bit contrary to that? Why does God want us to demonstrate leadership and learn how to lead before he promotes us? And we're going to get in promotion a little bit later if I have time. Well, yes, why? Why do we need to know what we're doing? Yes, I'll tag onto all that, so we're not injuring his children. See, when we take something that's God's not ready to give us, the risk is great that we cause injury to people around us. We'll get into a little bit of that later. Myth. This is gonna knock some people's socks off. If I'm not in full-time paid ministry, I'm not a minister. I cannot tell you how often I hear people say, I want to be in full-time ministry, meaning I want to be paid by the church to minister. I'm called to minister. I'm called to be in ministry, meaning by body language and by indeed, I'm called to be paid by the church and to work for the church. I don't think that's it. No. I think that there's somewhere deeply embedded inside our psyche is that if we're not working for the church, we're not ministering. That's just not true. Last night, let's see who I'm going to use for this. I'll use Jerry. Jerry, you're not paid by the church in any role, right? Correct. Let's see if you and I, I did this with Sarah Rucker last night, and she nailed it, not to put you on the spot. Your first area of ministry is what? Is where? Okay. I'm setting you up for disaster here. All right. I was afraid of that. Sorry, man. Yes, it would be. It's called People with the Last Name of Welling. I want to wrecking ball this concept about if we're not paid by the church, we're not in ministry. Because every one of us are in ministry, period. First place of ministry, my first place of ministry. Now, it's not my first priority. My first priority is being vertical 24/7. As you know, intimate with the Father. I'm gonna keep saying this till you're sick of hearing it. Partnered with the Son, empowered by the Spirit, and anointed to the calling which He knows my name. That is what I live my life to be. Everything flows out of that. Everything. My first priority as a minister is to my family. Is to minister to my family, which means that every breath I take, my desire, my heart as a husband and as a father is to be the bridegroom at the wedding ceremony between the bride and not the bridegroom, the best man at the wedding ceremony between the bride and the bridegroom. We're going to get into courting the bride in a minute. So I'm going to have to repeat that because I just almost messed it up. My job as a husband and as a father is to be the best man at the ceremony between the bride and the bridegroom, between my wife and my daughters and their Savior. That is my first ministry field. And if I don't understand that, there is no way that I'm going to be the husband and the father that I could be. Because what happens? I'm going to get caught up in the family stuff. My first ministry field is to my family. My second ministry field, I'm going to now side with Jerry, is into my assembly. I'm going to shake up the order, so I want to challenge you guys with this one. Your next ministry field is your family, and how this is going to show up. I'm in my second of 3 segments, so I'm going to invade the third segment a little bit because I want to ask you guys to quit coming to church Sunday mornings looking to be fed. As an elder of the house, I am asking this team to quit coming to church Sunday mornings looking to be fed. Now, I would not ask other people in the assembly to do that. I would ask every elder to do that. I would ask every staff member at GT to do that. Now, I didn't also notice what I didn't say. Don't quote me as saying Dave says we're not supposed to get fed Sunday morning. I didn't say that. I didn't say I don't want you to be fed Sunday morning. I said I'm going to ask you to quit coming to church on Sunday mornings looking to be fed. And here's why. You guys have a unique position here. You have chosen. You've been elected by God. I choose. I think it's you've obeyed. You in a simple act of obedience that you probably all didn't even begin to understand the importance of. You have been obedient to be in this place on Sunday nights and on 3 days a week during the week, and Sunday night and all 3 of those days is your time to be fed. Sunday morning is a unique opportunity that we open up these doors to the community. Ladies, I'm going to fire a shot across your bow. Last night I talked to 2 young men whose wives have never been talked to, and one of them serves this church frequently. Last night I talked to 2 young men whose wives haven't been approached by a single woman in this church. And both of them have been in this church for over a year. That should hurt. Sunday mornings, I'm going to ask, and this is my last night. Again, I'm wrecking ball on some things. Okay, I'm taking a position. I'm going to ask you to not come here to socialize. I'm going to ask you to not come here to be fed. Be fed. Most of you are here at 8 o'clock, right? I mean, most of us try to be here at 8 o'clock. I'm not saying if you can't be here at 8 o'clock, this is not. I'm not talking about that. But if you can. I'm not even asking you to be here, but if you can, 8 o'clock is a good time. From 8 o'clock to 8:45 is a time to get vertical. At 9 o'clock, it is time for you to be ministers of the gospel of the Lord of Jesus Christ on Sunday mornings. And every person in this house, every single one in this house, at some point should be approached. This particular lady sits generally, I think, over in here. One sits right here. The other tends to sit over in here somewhere. See, do you ever notice where Scott tends to focus most of it, and he's really trying to fix this. You ever notice what Scott does when he preaches? He tends to be over here, right? Why do you think that is? Amen. Hallelujah. That's right. Hey, boy. Hey, go. Hey, ha. Yeah, absolutely. What do we tend to see over here? Quiet. Who tends to sit over here? Participants. Who tends to sit over here? Not always. Now it's not. This is not a rule. These are trends. Understand what a trend is. Trend is not a hard and fast. It is something that leans in this direction. What happens, what leans in this direction over here, is we tend to have much more of the visitor mindset. What happens over here is we tend to have more of the stakeholder mindset. And some people actually sit over here on purpose, and if you watch it, because they want to be part of the stakeholders. They want to be in the club. What tends to be over here is folks that aren't too worried about being in the club. I'm just checking things out. One thing I've learned in my line of work, and you guys know the zeros that I deal with, is the guy that writes a check for $50 million has the same emotions as a Walmart cashier. They are the exact same. There is no difference. All that money in the world hasn't bought them any happiness whatsoever. We can assume that when people come in here on a Sunday morning, that there is something going on. I believe that but maybe 50% of the people walking in this door are in survival mode. So I don't want to look backwards. I don't want to put guilt, condemnation, or anything on there, but I do want to issue this challenge. Sunday morning is our time to minister. We are ministers. And so I want to ask us to be very intentional. And I'm actually wanting to start strategically shift around this. I'm not asking you guys to do this, but because of this phenomenon, and let me say, if we don't move into this leadership structure, you can kiss the growth of 1,000 people or 5,000 people goodbye. Not happening. People, this revolving door concept that happens in American churches the churches that are growing are the ones that have got this fixed. That have got that the people that are, this concept of platform ministry being leadership has been totally wrecked, because that's not the case. I'd make a case that Brenda Graves is as strong a leader as there is in this house. As strong a leader as we have in this house is sitting right there. Myth. Some of this stuff doesn't apply to maybe even anybody in here, but I'm going to go through it just in case, because like I said, we're in wrecking ball mode. Leadership is power. This isn't the regular army. In the army, the structure very much is rank is power, is authority. In the volunteer army, rank is service. Sunday night I read what Jesus said about service. I did not come for this, I came for that. He disrobed and washed his disciples' feet and said, do this likewise. In the volunteer army, in God's army, leadership absolutely is service. If we're looking at getting something out of it, we're limiting our promotion. I'm gonna close this out with a discussion on promotion. Promotion happens most frequently without note. We don't even know it's happened. Again, sorry, Brenda. I'm going to use Brenda as an example. I have been watching. I've known of you my whole life. This is my wife's cousin. I've only known you a couple years. In the couple years that I've known you, I've watched you on the fast track to promotion. And I don't even know if you know it. I've watched you position yourself to be as strong a leader as we have in this house, and I don't even know if you know it. That's what promotion generally looks like, godly promotion generally looks like. And what can happen, and I can almost promise you that you can go back even right now to a decision you made some time ago and say, boy, I remember I was at a crossroads. I was at a decision point. I knew that God was calling me to do X. I, out of a simple act of obedience, said yes. And then over a period of months and even years, the result of that simple act of obedience is rapid promotion. The other flip side to that And I can say this from an anecdotal evidence because I've been there. I mean, you might as well call me Jonah. David Bar Jonah. Is many times when we've not been promoted, I mean really not been promoted, because sometimes we've been promoted and we don't know it. We can also go back to certain decision points here where God has brought us to a crossroad, asked us to do something, and we've said no. Let me tell you what saying no to God does. Stops you. Cold. Doesn't lose salvation. It doesn't even lose your ability to minister. But what does it stop you from doing? Yes. It maybe not stops from growing. You greatly slow. And it does stop the promotion. It does halt the promotion on the spot, because here's why. Why would God want to promote somebody that's telling him no? You show me any evidence anywhere, Genesis through Revelation, where God promoted somebody that said no. I'm listening. Every time that happened, and remember one of my chapters in my books, and this is in the book, is dealing with goats. That's the concept. I have a lot of compassion for the goat. I'm not necessarily using the biblical definition of it. I'm talking about the stubborn rebellion heart. That when we get into a certain place, we say, God, I'm willing to go this far and no farther, and I am not growing past this. I am not going to fully surrender my life to you. There's nothing more difficult than a 40-year-old individual that's been living in that for a decade or longer. And here's the reality. Here's why we have compassion on that, and this is where I go with it in the book. A train wreck's coming. Pride and haughtiness is not something that God can deal with. It's what caused the enemy to be thrown out of heaven, in fact. So when we say, Father, I'm going to believe in you, but I am not going to give you lordship of my life. I am going to remain in control. And we keep it in that place for an extended period of time. There is a train wreck coming. So I don't think we don't have that here. But I'm wanting to describe to you what's going on in here on a Sunday morning, and why it's so important that we actually now take this stuff that's been deposited into us now for some for years, and some recently, and now it is critical that we begin to put this into practice in real time, with real intent. And Sunday morning's the time to do it. And here's what happens on Sunday morning. We learn. I'm gonna give you some examples. Let me get a chair here, just so you can kind of see it. Jerry, can you come up? Oh man, no, you can just sit right here. Just sit right here. First of all, and then I'm gonna demonstrate this in 3 minutes, and then we're gonna open it up for questions. And again, I want to open it up for Sunday night too, because I got barraged with questions from Sunday night. So Sunday morning service takes place. We get here 8 o'clock, we get here 9 o'clock, we get here 11 o'clock. I would hope we'd want to be here. I mean, encourage you to be here as much as we can, because this is ministry time. We get here and we're postured this way. Father, what do you got today? And what you're learning in this place is to have your spiritual eyes open. And you're starting to hear things. And you're starting to note things. Here, I had this happen 3 weeks ago. I'm walking by this guy. He was sitting right there. Right here. Service was done. He was by himself. And I just said, hey, what's up, man? So here's lesson number 1. Have the compassion to look everybody in the eye that you can and give them a smile. Now, God didn't say to me, there's a guy hurting over there, go minister to him. That is not what he did. This is what happened. I'm walking by him just like, hey, what's up, man? And he said, So when I do that, I went just like this, what's up, man? just like that. And I turned and looked at him. I said, He said, yeah. I said, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. And I smiled and I said, you're lying right through your teeth, aren't you? And he looked at me and he just broke down. My marriage is a mess. I've just lost my wife. Now, the way this took place was not Dave being super Dave. God, show me someone to minister to. And God said, go talk to that guy because he's hurting and he's ready to go. That is not what happened. What happened was the glory of him that lies inside me says that everyone deserves a smile. Everyone deserves to be attended. Everyone matters. And as I'm walking through, I saw a guy sitting there and all I did was, hey, what's up? And then his response, the discernment in my heart took over from there. Last Sunday, this happened. Guy standing back there I hadn't seen before, and hey, what's up, man? Yeah, what's up? Just as kind of bold, I said, I don't know. You tell me, how's things going? Nah, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Well, what do we do when we hear stuff like that? Oh, good luck to you. I'm so busy, I've got to go talk to my buddy over here. Okay, and I'm going to go talk to my buddy here because I've got business to attend to. Isn't that, how frequent is that? I'm talking Sunday mornings that we actually have an opportunity based on the response of somebody that to actually make a difference in their life in 3 minutes, but we're so busy because we've got to go talk to our buddy. Because we have business. We have family business. I want to wreck and ball that concept, especially for Sunday mornings. Because here's what happens when we learn how to do this. Because what you're going to find out is, I'm going to use a number, 50% of the people that are walking through these doors are surviving. Just surviving. Why do you think they're here? I'm hurt. I'm so hurt inside that I don't know what to do. I've heard that maybe there's a God. I don't think we can underestimate the amount of people. Do you know that we each come in here sometimes like that? You heard me Sunday night. Man, I was a mess over here Sunday morning. God said, empty, I'll give you empty. You're going to preach Sunday night and minister 3 times during the week. Don't give me this empty stuff. I'm filling you up all the time. You can go. So wrap up. I'm going to conclude. Then we'll go questions. We got till somebody pulls the microphone out of my hand. His will is to promote you. If you're not ready to buy into that yet, get before him. Let's start. We got to solve that. That's got to get solved. He owns your promotion. He's the author of it and the owner of it. And we went through this in length Sunday night. If you didn't hear it, Jen, just get the thing Sunday night. Because, I literally had, from Genesis to, I think I ended up in James. But I probably had, 15 lengthy runs from the entire length of the Bible to just the fact of the matter. And then third is, man is not powerless to demote what he would promote. And I used all 15 of those scriptures as proof of that. We have Bible heroes. The last thing I want to conclude with, and I didn't say this enough Sunday night, is we have this concept that, these are just the superstars in the Bible. That's them. We're not them. But I want to tell you something. Nor are they you. I think too frequently we get this concept in here that, wow, this Bible's made up of these super fathers of the faith. Do you know it's made up of people no different than you and I? With the exception of one? The stories that are written there, the reason why God put those stories in there as examples of everyday examples of what he wants from us. what he has for us. We've got to get out of that concept that we are not Peter, we are not Paul, we are not Abraham, we are not Joseph. Well, they are not us. We got to get in the concept that when we get to pearly gates, we're going to walk up to Moses. And instead of being just a one-way awe, Moses is going to be in awe of us. I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up to John the Baptist, who just is the man as far as I'm concerned. And in my flesh today, I want to say, dude, man, that must have been cool living in the desert from 12 to 30 by yourself, eating locusts and honey, and just spending all that time alone. And he's going to say, man, are you kidding me? I watched when you did this. That was awesome. Questions? Go ahead.
Why isn't there new Bible in the New Age?
What?
Why isn't there a New Age Bible?
Get me later with that. That doesn't make sense. Next question. Okay.
One is just vocabulary. You said the word upper management is not incentivized.
Incentivied.
What does that mean?
That's a good question. We hit this last night. Here's the example of that. Let's see. Sean recognizes that Allie has great worship leader potential. She has a phenomenal voice. She has the Spirit of the Lord over her. And the calling on her life is such that people will respond to her as a worship leader. However, if he promotes that, he might work himself out of a job. So in the corporate world, Sean is not incentivized to raise Allie up because she might work him out of a job. In the kingdom world, our job is to work ourselves out of a job. Here's what happens. If I don't promote Jeremy, if I don't do everything I can to promote my brother and sister because I'm concerned about my own place and my own title, not only do I run contrary to the heart of God, because remember what I said, our job is to facilitate others' promotion, and when we work against that, God is against us. It doesn't stop Jerry's growth. Whose promotion does it stop? What happens if God, this plays itself out so frequently, what happens if God actually has for Sean to write music? To Sean to build a worship album that changes people's lives forever, but he's so concerned about holding on to his spot that he doesn't allow the promotion to come up underneath him. That's exactly what that means. And it can play out all over the place. Listen, I've done it. I've had assistant basketball and football coaches come up that I could have tutored and really helped them be great coaches. But because I didn't want to lose my spot, I didn't do it. That is not God's kingdom. So how's that? Okay.
Somebody and I'm like, hey, how you doing? They say something negative, well, I can't say, well, how can I help you? Because like personnel,
Yeah.
pray for you because it's not
Right.
it's a mindset thing. So I don't know how to approach it even with a male. Like, I don't
Brilliant question. Boy, a couple of thoughts on that. Number one, each one of us are uniquely gifted. I mean, what I'm gifted to, and I hope I didn't dishonor you, Jeremy, by the way, but we'll get to that. Okay. One of the things that I'm gifted with, and I think we all can do this, is just that smile concept. But one of the things I like to do is this, as I walk by guys. I mean, if you notice, when I come off the worship stage anymore, I literally, if I chose to do this, I could literally walk down like I just scored the winning basket in a basketball game, because there is a number of people that sit right here. I usually come out of there and I walk down here, and I'm making eye contact. I literally could do this. Hey, 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 what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Hey, hey, hey. I could literally create a disturbance. So number one is that. We can all do that. But then number two, we're all differently kind of gifted. It's one of the cool things about, that's why I say, you know, Moses, you're not Moses, but neither is Moses you. We're all differently created differently. So I guess what I want to encourage you to do is to find your place. Find, you know, the compassion in your heart drives the reaction. So when it's, you know, we all have to kind of go that gender thing a little bit. You know, I've gotten to the point in my life where I believe that ladies deserve to hear from an elder. And just because I'm a male elder doesn't mean I'm not going to sow into ladies. But the younger you are, the more cautious you have to be, and especially when you're single. So there is that gender thing. So on the gender thing, I would recommend bringing a friend in or bringing in another guy. Listen to what's having said. And I think we've covered this probably at least in this a few times. So when you're getting something, so another guy, you come up, you hear something. Oh, hey, Jerry, Dave, Tim. And by the way, I want to encourage you not to call, you know, Dave, you know, your guys that you put up here. I'm not me. I mean, we have got an awful lot of people in this place. Grab Tim. Hey, Tim, hey, come here. Hey, but stay in the conversation. Don't hand it off, because if it's a guy, he felt safe enough with you to speak with you, but have Tim kind of there just to sit there, and Tim doesn't even have to talk. A lot of times it's just listen to somebody else. Hey, boy, can I pray for you? Here's some standard stuff. Father, I pray wisdom. I pray grace, Father. I pray mercy. Father, I pray clarity. That's a safe prayer with almost anything, and we can say it really sincere, right? So when we're at a loss for words, when somebody does this, hey, I'm waiting for the other. Now, for me, when I hear the other shoe to drop, I stop. I look down. I said, what do you got, trouble on the horizon? Well, you could say that. I said, and I just said, huh. I said, let me ask you something. Where are you at with God? So, I mean, you believe? Yeah. Do you pray? I don't pray. You never pray? I don't pray. Do you talk to him? No. Okay. So from that, I went to, well, let me, can I give you a suggestion, bro? I mean, you and I don't know each other. There's no reason for me to do this, but let me give you a thought. When you're in your quiet place all alone, just you, and I'm never quiet, I'm never alone. I mean, literally, this is the way the conversation went. I said, you don't go, you're not alone in your bed? Well, yeah, I'm alone. Okay, so let's choose that time. When you go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning and do this. Father, I'm here. That's it. Let me ask you this. What's the risk in that? He just sat there. He didn't commit to doing that, but a seed was planted. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that young guy, who's in probably a boatload of trouble, at some point is going to be facing some trouble, and it's like, okay, God, I'm here. So does that answer that?
Yeah, I think, like, I like how you went through, like, the whole scenario. That really helped.
It's listening. You know, it starts with compassion. See, if we have the Father's heart, we have his heart of compassion. And that's what I'm wanting to challenge you on Sunday mornings, to come in here with a heart of compassion, not with your own agenda. We got to get out of this, I got an agenda today. Helen's got a job, right? You got a job here. Sunday mornings, right? Yeah, she's right back there. When she's not right back there, is there opportunity? In fact, she's uniquely qualified, in fact, to be in a place of actually kind of opening her heart up a little bit and noticing. She's going to do her job, but once the preaching starts, what do you do during the preaching? So you're on the time of the Bible slide. Is that something you have to stay intently on? Because if you do, you might not be able to do that. But what happens when we have a little bit of downtime? I'll tell you what I do. I do this every single Sunday, every one. Sunday morning I said I wasn't going to do it. I'm not ministering today. I'm off. I'm putting on my Blues Brothers glasses. I'm going to play my guitar. I'm just going to sit here and do my own thing. I'm going to worship. I'm going to love you. But Dave King is empty, and Dave King doesn't have anything to offer anybody. That's what I said. For 50 minutes, I'm telling God this. He's like, huh? So what? Did you hear that? Yeah, I heard it. You know? So my intention was not to do it this Sunday, and I did it anyway. No matter where I'm sitting, I'm not watching people. I'm not a starer. I'm participating, but I'm okay, Father. What's going on? What do you got? What is happening in here today? When I say, I want to clarify one thing. When I say don't come here to get fed, I mean it, but that doesn't mean don't go vertical. What I'm saying, don't come here to get fed, what I'm saying is don't come in here with the mindset that it's about me today. We're going to come in here, or with my agenda, we're going to come in here going vertical, lead by going vertical with our eyes and ears open, and we're going to minister to others every Sunday. Okay, question. I'm going to keep going until somebody takes a mic. Yeah. Yeah, well, you notice what I started right off with this guy. Yeah, I'm okay. And I just turned with a smirk on my face, and this is what I'm kind of gifted to do. I said, you just told me a bold-faced lie, didn't you? And the guy said, yeah, I'm a mess. I think we all do. We all do it today. I'm going to continue to do it. When people that I'm not ready to let in ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to say I'm great. When sometimes going, that's just the way it is. I'm going to declare things that sometimes I don't necessarily feel. So there's a component of that. But what I like about what you're going with is understanding that we can also have discernment, and God will tell us when it's time to dig a little bit deeper. The big thing I want to challenge us all to do, and I'm going to keep coming by, is please flush our agendas. Flush our small groups, flush this concept of where, our niches and our little comfort zones on Sunday morning. We have got to get beyond that. We have got to get. Brenda, because you're in a good place. I'll use her as an example. Now, my in-laws come here, and she's got a real heart for in-laws, and she spends a lot of time with the in-laws. But you know what? There's an awful lot of other people in here. I want to ask you in particular to make sure that everyone over here, every woman over here gets your time, gets something. Who else sits over here? What is your name again? Terry. I'm sorry, Terry. I keep wanting to say about 6 other names there. I'm very sorry. I'm not going to say I'm a guy that's bad with the names. I'm not. It's important to me. I won't have to ask you that again. So Terry, please do the same thing. Jen, you're kind of sitting in this place. You're sitting in this place. On a Sunday morning, not a single person over the next 30 days doesn't get a smile from you guys. Firstly, I'm going to try to start mixing it up a little bit. I'm not going to sit in the rah-rah section. Now, because what I want to see what happens. It reeks of elitism. What is James? Yeah.
I was just gonna, it's hard, and I'm gonna be a little bit transparent here. It's hard for somebody who has come into a church and has had no one, interested in your attempts to reach out. It's extremely difficult to take and be completely opposite that with other people, because, if you can't break through with people who are established here, it's extremely difficult to get to the point where you can break through with new people. You see what I'm saying?
I think so.
You're talking about the rah-rah section in the
Yeah.
club. That it's more of a clique than it is a club.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah. Well, I want to pull that. I want to rein that. We really want to address that. I guess I want to say I want to do this correctly. I'll use it this way. I took a sabbatical from the assembly for a number of years because of my perception of the hypocrisy inside the assembly. And when I hit Damascus Road, when I came out of the whale, and I headed to Nineveh, I said that to God. First of all, I want to make something clear. God is not scared of our honesty. Because what happens is, I mean, I was honest with him Sunday morning, and he yucked it up. What are you, nuts? He's really good to tell us when we're nuts. And what he did with me is, you're nuts. You're the biggest hypocrite in there. Ugh. And he showed me a glimpse of my own hypocrisy. And then he said, son, what I want you to do is I want you to go back into the assembly, and I want you to lead and not worry about what other people are. And another thing he's shown me over time is when I've gotten offended at very real things, he said, who are you to be offended? I've asked you to steward and to lead, not to be offended. So the concept, and that's why we're going to break down this, the clique concept. I mean, I recognize it. It happens at an assembly. I don't care, you know, what the assembly is about. Cliques happen in professional football teams. It's just, it is a herd mentality. It is a comfort zone mentality. So we're going to break that down, but we can't do that by just taking a sledgehammer to the clique. We have to do that by individually saying, that's not who I'm going to be. And I'm not, and if it raises to the point where this, I think this is a real problem, we go right into intercession, and we work on intercession. I want to hit another part of that, because embedded in that question is an awful lot of people that have the walls up. That you would say that I have tried to reach them and they've said no. That I can't get into that group. I can't get into that group. I can't get into that group. This happens to every single one of us. There's not anybody in here that hasn't tried to break into a relationship with somebody, to minister, to address, to love on, that doesn't get stiff-armed. I get stiff-armed almost every week. Now, I don't get offended by that, because I know what happens is we have walls built up, see? And walls are built up generationally, from handed down generation to generation, and we have walls that have been built up intentionally by ourselves as a defense mechanism. So if we can recognize that when the walls come up, when the stiff arm comes up, it's because there's a wall that needs being broken down there. All we can do is over time break down the wall, and the only way to do that is to smile. Not what you want to hear, probably. I'm not saying it is for you about offense, but I've been listening to this clique thing for 40 years. It's a reality, and a lot of people are offended by it. A lot. I'm sure, Helen, I'm sure you're not. I mean, you got a maturity about you that goes beyond that. That's the walls I was just talking about. That's exactly what I was just saying. Yeah, well, there's a lot going on there. I brought a word years ago called bonding believers, and this is just a hair off topic, but I wanna if this is kind of a prevailing thing. This is, you know, I haven't been here that long. There is a real kind of people have been leaving churches probably forever because of this topic. Because of the hurts. And what I want for this particular group, now I brought this to the whole assembly, but I want to bring this particular, I'm going to bring it a little more fine-tuned to this particular group, because I'm going to count on a level of maturity here that the overall assembly probably doesn't have. No, there's a reality. Number one, we can't all choose who we're going to be close with and force other people to be in that relationship. Relationships are always two-sided. And what we can do is we can think that, boy, and you know, let's say there's a clique, And let's say that let's say that those people are inside that, boy, and they must be happy and content. But you know, everybody, every single one of us, Dave King, there are people that I want to be in relationship that do not want to be in relationship with me. It is, but what happens is we think that it's only us. It's something with us, and we start taking ownership of that. And it's not always that there's walls up with them. We all have 24 hours in a day. I literally can't be best friends with everybody. I can't do it. Neither can you. So it's not always, we're not allowed into this thing always because, you know, I'm just not cool enough for them. There is, this is a whole separate teaching, and maybe I'll go with Sean on this, because there's an art, there's a biblical model of creating our inner circle, and then widening that ring. And what I said to this last, if we're in a place here, and this is the last body, we had a number of people leaving, and people are calling me, this is why I'm leaving, and it was this very stinking topic. This very thing. I'm sick, and I want to be, and I got to tell you, I'm part of the target. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, Dave, I wanted to be your close friend, but you wouldn't be my close friend. I don't know how to respond to that. I get 24 hours too. I literally cannot be everybody's closest friend. I can't. None of us can. So what I brought to them, and what I'll bring to you on this thing is, it's really important for us, because what God may have is He actually may have a, forgive the term, a clique for you. That He may have an inner circle designed for you that you are the senior leader of, so to speak. Yeah, we're kind of off topic here a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and there's personality types. Some people are just shyer than others. Just all kinds of kind of embedded complications to relationship. This group here is, again, not just special forces. It's the cadre. It is the front lines. And it really is really more up to us to demonstrate leadership. And this is a good place, this particular topic is a good place to do it. So if we can say, hey, I'm hurt because I'm being excluded, man, I'm going to make sure I'm not excluding somebody else. Ben, I'm ready when you are. I'm going to keep taking questions till you take the microphone out of your hand, my hand. Okay. Okay. Oh, cool. Yes. Yeah, maybe I'll just, while we're doing, I'll tell you how I handle this, how I go about handling my relationships. My inner circle is my inner circle, and has been for about 20 years. And when I mean my inner circle is you know, I've used the pattern. I'm not going to say this is a biblical doctrinal pattern. I use it this way, but I'm not saying this is truth. I'm going to call this is Dave King's big O opinion. So this might not work for everybody, and it might not be everybody's calling. But for me, Jesus had James, John, and Peter. So there is a small group of men that I treat like my wife. That literally there is no conversation that's out of bounds. None. Zero. Anytime I stumble, anytime now I don't tell them everything, because some things is just not for them to know. I don't tell my wife everything. But everything can be discussed. And I have a small group of 2 or 3 men in my life, only one of them goes here, that's in my inner circle. Then I have a little bit of a bigger circle. and it's and Jesus had 12. And I have a bit of circle, and just so happens my bigger circle probably has about 12 or 15 people in it. And in that bigger circle, we're kind of doing life together. We're serving together. We're partnering in life together. That little bit bigger circle, there's kind of an in and out in that. There's more people in that little bigger circle in this house, and there's people in this house that are replacing the people in my last house. I had 3 people in that last house that are really out of that kind of, just because of distance, just in time and calling, is being replaced here. So there's my 12. Jesus had another 70. So I go into that next circle. My next circle, I bet it's about 50 or 70. These are people I call, we're all friends. These are people I might call my close friends. Now hear this. There's close friends that are not in my inner circle. I have close friends that I wouldn't necessarily say are even in that circle of 12. The circle of 12 tends to be people that I'm after it with. We're on the battlefield. We're in war together. I'd say the eldership team. By nature, the eldership team almost has to be in that, and that's who's kind of replaced it from the other thing. So that's kind of my approach, and then I, like all of us, I've got to deal with boy, how do I put this well? Father, perfect this, God. There are people that come and go that I'm called to do life with for a season, that I allow in and they allow me in, but it's for a season and it's generally for a purpose. And so that's the general way. There are people that I just because of the position I'm in their life, I've got to keep a separation in, because I'm in a place of leadership, and so there's certain vulnerabilities that I can't open myself up to. So it gets to be, complicated. Probably each one of us deal with it differently. You almost ready? Because I'm drowning here. Okay. All right, let me pray. Father, thank you. Thank you for these, Father. Again, boy, there's some imperfection in the delivery today, God. Father, I just pray, perfect the word. God, again, raise up, Father. Father, I just thank you for promotion, for leadership giftings, God. Lord, I just pray, God, that they just explode in this group, Lord. And Sunday mornings is a real tangible result, Father, of the raising up that you're doing in this group. I just thank you for these things in Jesus' name. Amen.